Good morning, Internet. Wake up, it's almost booze o'clock, and you don't want to be late for booze o'clock. I'm your host, Dave, and welcome back to the Noisy Barstool Presents. Today we're doing another how-to video, and we're presenting the Manhattan. Now, the Manhattan is a classic cocktail that's been around since at least the 1880s. It gets its name from New York's Manhattan Club, though it's unclear whether or not the Manhattan Club actually invented it. At the time, it was a super popular cocktail build, so there were several clubs trying to attach their name to it, the Turf Club, the Jockey Club, etc. But the Manhattan is the name that stuck. And we're presenting it today because in our last video, we presented the old-fashioned. The Manhattan is kind of the next logical step when you're learning to work with whiskey. So, in order to make a Manhattan, you'll need just a couple ingredients. You'll need whiskey of sorts, rye, bourbon, you could use scotch. I have kind of a high rye bourbon here, which is going to be delicious. You need sweet vermouth. Vermouth is a fortified sweet wine, oftentimes mixed with herbs, little sugar, and it comes in several varieties. Sweet, which is usually red. You'll have blanc, which is kind of a sweeter white, and you'll have dry, which is a white vermouth. Then you have bitters. You'll need a little bit of an orange peel for garnish, and you might need a cherry for garnish as well. Most places are going to serve it in a coupe glass or an up glass, but you might see it on the rocks or in a down glass like this. I'm going to serve mine in an up glass, and in order to do that, we're going to need a place to mix it. A lot of bars, if they don't have mixing glasses, will use just a regular pint glass or the bottom half of a shaker tin, but I'm going to use a mixing glass, which usually look like this. Alright, let's get started. First, you're going to take your vermouth. Most times you build this cocktail, it's going to be a 2-to-1 ratio or a 2 to just under 1 ratio. What that usually means is that you will have 2 parts whiskey to 1 part vermouth. Now, if you're getting super classic on it, I have seen some cocktail manuals made in the 40s that said it was a 1-to-1 ratio. But for us, we're going to do a more modern taste profile, so we're going to do a 2 parts whiskey to 1 part vermouth ratio. What that means is you're going to take about 1 ounce of vermouth and put in your mixing glass, and then you're going to take 2 ounces of whiskey. There you go. Take your bitters, and I would do a good 3, 4, 5 good shakes. And then finally, you'll add your ice. Now, just like the old-fashioned video, you'll see that I'm going to stir this particular cocktail, whereas in the whiskey sour video, I shook it. That's kind of a bartending rule. If there's citrus in it or an egg white, you shake the cocktail. But if it's just spirits and vermouth, typically like a fortified wine, you tend to just stir it. While we're stirring it, we're letting that ice melt into the cocktail like we did with the old-fashioned, so we're actually watering it down just a little bit, but that's actually all right because it's entirely booze. That looks about right, just like that. You'll take a strainer and then pour the concoction into your coupe glass like that. Then finally, you're going to want to take your peeler, get a nice orange peel, and just like you did with your old-fashioned, you're going to take that peel and express it over the glass like this, letting the citrus oil rest on top of the cocktail, and then you're actually going to put it around the lip of the glass so that no matter which way your customer drinks from his glass, they get a little bit of that delightful little orange. Now, you could drop it directly in on top and have it floating, or have it kind of at a jaunty angle sticking out of the cocktail. You could even, some places will actually like clip it with like a little clothespin to the side of the glass. But most of the time when I'm serving a Manhattan, even though it's not quite as traditional as it could be, I take my peel and I discard, and then I take my spoon and I'll take a cherry. In particular, these are my bourbon cherries that I've talked about before, but you could take an Amaretti or a Luxardo cherry, and then I just drop it in the cocktail so it sinks to the bottom. That's how I garnish my cocktail. And there, my friends, is a Manhattan. Well, I hope you liked that video, and I hope you found it helpful, any of my new and upcoming bartenders out there. If you like this video enough to actually give it a like, maybe think about subscribing to the channel or hitting the little bell icon for notifications. And if you'd like to see any other how-to videos I've posted, or perhaps some of the more travel show-oriented stuff I post on my channel, maybe you take a look over here and click on these thumbnails I'm sure I'll put up. And as always, if it ever looks like your glass is half empty, that might mean you're just not drinking fast enough. Cheers.